What's up, bro?
Welcome back to the good old state of Tennessee.
It's good to be back here. I think I brought some of that nice weather with me.
Dude, it is springish.
Yeah, I really like it. Had a dog walk this morning. Things are
prepping for the dog cast?
Prepping for a dog cast, man. She said a lot of good things today, so I think...
Well, let's touch on a few of them. What did she have to say today?
She said stop and smell the flowers.
Oh, okay. I can get down with that. I mean, I've got crazy allergies, so I'm not sure if I should get on board, but I get it. I get where she's coming from.
Yeah, I just said I was on a power walk, and she just kept wanting to stop and look around and take in the day, you know? I was like, what's the rush, bro?
What is the rush? It's Monday.
What's the rush? You know, I just got off the road, a nice 9-hour drive last night, and she's just ready to sink back into the local turf with her nose. You know, take a dump once in a while and just, you know, fuck it.
Yep. Man. Wow. Invitation accepted from Mike Turali.
Hell yeah, man. Ah, bro. Well, before we get going here, we got an email this morning. You saw that, right?
Yeah, I read it. Yeah, I did. I read it. Actually, I read it at like 2 o'clock in the morning because Hayden was up and he was taking a little bit to go back to sleep, and I was like, well, let me just kind of bide my time. Looked over and read it, and then I couldn't go back to sleep. I was a little distraught.
Distraught?
Not really. I wasn't distraught. Not really.
No, you gotta set up. All right, we got an email. Here it is. I'm gonna read it real quick. It says, "Hey guys, I'm a Kiwi New Zealander who lives in China. I have listened to every podcast that has been put out and just wanted to reach out and tell you guys that you're seriously kicking ass. I started training for my first triathlon last year, and the advice that your podcast provided enabled me to qualify for 2017 Ironman World Championship, 70.3 World Championships in my first ever race after 5 months of training. I would seriously take notes when listening. I'm such a tri geek, it's great. Your podcast has provided me so much good info, in turn is making me better, stronger, and smarter athlete. Living and training in China does come with its own set of challenges, and the Crushing Iron podcast is definitely a highlight of my week. I just thought I'd write and say a big thank you for all your hard work and dedication. You're making a difference in a positive way. Keep up the great work." Well, first ever triathlon, he qualifies for World 70.3. Dude, I think you might be giving out too much info here.
Oh, yeah. Guess what, guys? It's going to cost you.
I thought you just loved to...
I'm just kidding. I do. And obviously this gentleman has some natural talent, and a 5:02, which was his time is a more than respectable first 70.3. But yeah, to be honest, I am very generous with most of my training advice, which I'm happy to do and I will continue to do. And I say this all the time when I talk to potential athletes or people who are curious about certain things, and there's literally a million ways, not a million, but there's probably hundreds of ways to make a risotto. But I'm going to tell you all the ingredients you should probably use and suggestions, but each specific person is basically their own dish. So while I can give you probably enough information to make a pretty good risotto, although left to your own devices, you may undercook it, you may burn it, you may not even like it anymore. That's where the difference in coaching is I make sure the ingredients go in the right time, in the right way, at the right heat, pull it off, make sure it's tasting good, and make sure you want it again. And that's the difference is, you can give all the information out in the world, and I think a lot of coaches are too secretive about about like their training philosophies because they think they've like reinvented the wheel, which is just nobody has. Like if somebody says they've reinvented the wheel and they've got these, super secret training methodologies that no one's heard about, then you should probably just stay away. Because I mean, because there's specific ways to train that are proven. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's just applying it to the athlete. It's getting a relationship, keeping that relationship with the athlete, making sure they're happy, listening to them, and then honestly, the biggest thing is the feedback. Not like on a weekly or monthly basis, but like daily. And it's not like, hey, how is your, oh, I saw that you hit these numbers in the swim. It's more, hey, man, how are you doing today? And that's usually my question. How is he or she doing today? Or you nailed it. Or you need a day off. Or I just go ahead and give you one because you look fatigued. And those little things are the biggest differences. But, again, congrats to this guy. His name is Clayton. Huge congrats, Clayton. Thanks again for listening. Super glad that you've enjoyed it and listened to every podcast, which is awesome, and taking notes. And good luck to you if you're making the trip over for 70.3 Worlds.
Yeah, we'll probably. Well, I don't know. It depends where we're going to be, but yeah. And as somebody who has been coached by you for more or less 5 years now, I have to echo those sentiments and say that there's so much more to coaching and than just putting out a training plan and kind of rah or whatever it is. And I'm the kind of guy that always is trying to figure out those training secrets that I never reveal, and none of them work, so it doesn't really matter. But one of these days I'm gonna
get one.
the holy grail of like how to get by with as little amount as whatever. But are you yeah, I mean, and the other thing is like, if you're thinking you want to get better and take it to a new level and have more fun with the sport, inquire about having Robbie be your coach, because I assume you're still taking athletes, right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So I'm definitely taking emails, but I currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would say 6 current athletes I'm in communication with that are debating on getting coaching, starting coaching, or when they want to do it. And if I fill up 4 of those 6, then I'm going to be pretty much capped for the next few months until some races get done and some people want to break. But if you're still interested, obviously shoot me an email. And if anything, I can get you some information and if anything, help guide the way.
Yeah.
And do what I can.
And now, there's some different tiers we're working on too, right? I mean, that coaching can come in different packages.
I do a lot of different training packages where there's just a training plan, whether it's customized coaching, and then there's so many options that, and a lot of people since yes, this is a business for me and it is my job and that's how I make a living and provide for my family. I also love it more than anything in the world. So I'm very I don't want to say I'm too flexible, but I also do people like give them kind of what I would call like an a la carte training plan based on what they can afford and their needs. Because I don't know, I just like working with people. I like to see people reach their potential. I like establishing relationships with them and seeing them really take flight. And most importantly, I like it when they are able to stick in the sport for a long period of time, and enjoy themselves and figure out things about themselves. And, I'll say this because I give this guy, I won't use his name, but we've been working together since January. He's doing Ironman Wisconsin, and he's your typical triathlete. He is type A to the A, type A to the A, and he wants things like detailed out to the millisecond in his training. I want to know what cadence, I want to know what power, I want to know for how long, I know how it should feel, and then I want to know if I'm getting better. and to be honest, he's had a rough year. Just just an overall, I wouldn't say a rough year. I would just say a regular old year where you have, hiccups and things that come up along the way, and he's got promotion at work and some other things. And he went out and about a week and a half ago, he was just kind of frustrated. And he's like, I feel like I'm, regressing on the bike. I'm just not getting any faster. And we just changed cranks. He has gone with some really frustrating issues with his current bike shop. So, and he did the exact thing we talk about all the time. Like, he was that prisoner of the moment within a one workout. I'm either going to go pro or I'm going to retire. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, I crushed it today, I'm going pro, or I'm going to qualify for Kona, or today sucked, I'm terrible, I should probably just, not even start my race, and I'm always going to be average. And he was just, he was really, really, I wouldn't say frustrated, but I guess doubting himself and probably a little bit of the training. And he did this mountain bike race the Saturday, which I'm a huge fan of, especially for a course like he's doing, like Wisconsin, with so many hills and so many gear changes, and you need to have really good handling. Dude, I'm all about the mountain bike. And so he did this mountain bike race, and his goal was to go under 3 hours.
Okay.
Which was something he was, which is going to take a pretty good, a pretty good PR. So he gets out, I'm tracking him on Saturday, and he goes sub 3, and he PRs by 17 minutes from last year.
Wow. Good.
And yeah, which is a huge improvement over 3 hours just on the bike. But the coolest thing is that, and I always give him a hard time because we give each other a hard time. We bust each other's balls pretty frequently. But he did send me a text yesterday. He said, well, you know what? He said, well, take this as a victory too, by the way. I'm really happy. Oh. Just like in general. He's just really happy. He's happy with his relationship with the sport. He's happy with where he is. He's happy, and that's the kind of stuff that means more to me than PRs and podiums. It's when I have athletes, and most of them are like this, if not all of them, or have that sense of gratitude. I'm just really happy with where I am. I'm really happy with my relationship with the sport. And that's honestly, that's a lot of what and this isn't, I don't want to get into this into too much detail because I don't want this to seem like some big coaching training pitch, but I think it's important for athletes who are self-coach or for athletes who are coaching, whoever it is, it's that you're making sure you have some, even if it's not a coach, if it's just somebody in your life who makes sure that you keep things in perspective and you're having fun and you're really just you always have that sense of gratitude, man, I've come so far, man, I just love what I'm doing, I'm just loving training, and I'm really happy with where I am. And if you can get those, then everything else falls into place, because it's just the natural flow of getting better. You're happy, so you want to do it more. Then you're training well, so you want to train more and be more precise. And you're more consistent. And with all those things comes results. And then you're back to the beginning again. It's like the chicken before the egg. What comes first? But it's always good to keep that. It's always good to have somebody like that, as a friend or a spouse or a training partner that allows you to kind of keep that positive outlook and give you that feedback. And and it's not, most of my job is slowing people down and then picking them back up. It's like, you want to do too much, so I'm going to slow you down. And then when you have a bad day, I have to remind you that, I get to remind you that it's just today and you're going to get better. Or remember this, and that's why so much of training and coaching is psychological, and about relationships versus what you actually put into somebody's training calendar. And then there was another guy I was talking to, I've been texting a lot with over the last few days, who had a really difficult race to swallow, and he's got great insight just on himself, and he's coached by somebody else, and he's just a really, really smart athlete, really strong athlete. And he was like, man, I just got to get back to where I'm having fun again. Like I was dreading doing this bike ride the next day where I used to be super excited. And that's where I think we all kind of realize, and I think we've all been there before. And it's like, well, why am I like dreading it, or why am I not happy about it? And what was different from the times when I was happy about it?
Yeah, what is that?
Well, I think it's perspective. I think it's your current life circumstance, and obviously it's a matter of, it's not always a matter of results, because I firmly believe that results are not just strictly your success, or your happiness with a certain result isn't just based on the time. It's your relationship to the event and how you went through training, combined with the result. So this is another conversation I had with another guy I was talking about with coaching. And he said, I'm gonna do this race, and then I'm gonna take a little bit of time off because I got married this last September, and I need to refocus, and I still need some training, but I want to spend time with my wife. In time, I want to take advantage of this time that I won't be able to get back. Which is true for everything, whether it's a new relationship, whether it's a job, whether it's you move, have new friends, or you just get married and you have kids. It's a hugely important time, and and so what I tried to explain to him was, and I totally get that, and I totally respect that approach. Then again, as you look beyond that into next year and you're kind of focusing on another thing, it's like you want to have this balance, and I'll just speak in terms of this guy, so I'll use the word guy or man and not woman or girl. And I said, listen, when you get to the next race you do, you want to get there feeling like you've been the best man and the best father or the best husband you could be, while not sacrificing too much, but using your time so wisely and in just the right spots that when you get to the race, you have no guilt. And I think the result you get from that is so much easier to swallow than a guilt-ridden race with so much pressure, because in my opinion, with huge sacrifice and huge guilt from skipping things or passing on things, comes so much more pressure when it comes time to perform, because you feel like you have to validate what you opted out of. And if you don't validate it with a great time, then you look back and think, well, shit, I was giving up all this and sacrificing this with this person or that or my kids, and I got this to show for it. And so it's that happy medium, and you always have to have that perspective, and that's where I think your results are a combination. Like I said, your results are a combination, and your happiness with those results are a combination of the work you put in, what you sacrificed, your relationship with the sport, and then how well you did comparatively. And that's where I think success really lies, is that happy medium and that healthy balance.
I can relate to that. Often, I mean, the times when I'm just generally most happy or content with everything is when I'm not putting so much emphasis on the sport and I'm tackling whatever is in front of me. Whether that be, making an appointment to see a friend, walk a dog, making the bed, whatever those things are. It's like sometimes I think you're right. Like, the triathlon and training for an Ironman or something can really distort your focus, and when that becomes the entire focus, and you start I know you have to plan for these workouts and things like that, but when that becomes everything, like that becomes the first plan, that's like the first piece of the puzzle you put in your day, that can kind of be overwhelming. And I think especially when you start neglecting things that are that you should just be doing normally as a person, father, brother, friend, whatever, just to get to those things, that becomes a mountain, slow rolling snowball of guilt that, like you're saying, it just builds up over time, and it kind of throws everything out of whack. And the satisfaction becomes more of a chore. It's not a well-deserved workout. It's like a forced workout that, either doesn't happen and there's a lot of guilt around it or whatever, or it does happen and you feel so much pressure because of the other crap you're not doing that none of it becomes enjoyable.
Yeah.
So
and I honestly, like, do I enjoy do I enjoy coaching athletes and having them perform like well and seeing them on top of the podium and seeing them qualify for, world championships? Absolutely. Like, I love that part, but on the same level, when I get text messages like these, I feel like I'm doing my job as a coach. I'm going to give you 2 examples. I got one from, I'm going to read out exactly who these people are, because I think it says a lot about them as not just individuals, but where they are with their relationship with the sport. And the first one's from Jamie Lopez. He's 2 weeks out from Muncie 70.3. I had him on on his birthday weekend. I had him on a gigantic training weekend. He sent me a text and he said, Training Peaks gave me green today, but I didn't do the entire swim workout or the cool down. I had to get to Lauren's summer camp performance, so I cut it short. And I texted him back and I said, well, you get green from me for having your priorities in order. Which is exactly what you're supposed to do, is not skip that stuff. Is have your priorities in order, so when you do go out and you have to, give away time, you don't feel guilt, because you're not going to have that great of a training session either. And then I got another one from Stuart Rogers, who said, I found out this morning that this was yesterday. I found out this morning that race prep was canceled. I'm planning just to take this morning off to hang out with my 14-year-old before he leaves for camp. Sounds like a great plan. Enjoy. Like, it's those are like those are the best training decisions you can make. Like, it's not to like push through a workout at 6 a.m. in the morning when you're feeling like crap. Like, you don't get bonus points for being the guy that, do you have to make sacrifices along the road? Absolutely. But it's limiting those and making the best choices. So, do you get extra bonus points for working the grind and being on your trainer at 9 o'clock at night? Or do you get massive points for making decisions like these gentlemen had?
Yeah.
That's where training lies.
Yeah.
And that's what allows you to be consistent, because it keeps your whole life in balance. And once you get that imbalance, that's when the pressure and the guilt and the stress just mount and mount and mount, because you've made your whole life this priority to qualify for this or to qualify for that or to PR in this or to do this. And then when you don't, the downfall and the I don't know what I'm trying to say here. The reward you don't get is just tremendous, and it's hard to get back up from.
Well, you're talking a lot about family, in my situation where I have loads of free time, essentially, I have a very loose calendar, to say the least. I have my own job or my own business, and it's pretty flexible. I've got video editing and I do all these things, and I start thinking about, when you talk about priorities, so like in my case, what are the priorities? I think back to when I was training actually for my first one, and I was a lot busier then, but like I remember one, I think it was the 4th of July, and it was a deal where I had a huge brick on the calendar, and for whatever reason, I had some stuff going that morning. I couldn't get it going, and I had to do it later. But everyone I knew was at this 4th of July party thing. And I remember, man, I skipped it. And I actually did the workout, and I hammered it all the way, And I remember standing in my garage after I got back. It started raining on the last leg of my run, and I was just standing there looking out going, man, I felt like terrible on one hand, but also just completely proud of myself for actually doing, which was in that case the right thing. You know what I mean? It's not like I was blowing off a family event or something like that. It was just a bunch of people getting together and going to party or whatever. And it was such a hard thing for me to do, and it was really emotional because I was like, man, should I be doing that? But that's something that I've done a million times. You know what I mean? It wasn't taking a step towards doing anything better in my life. And I was really so in other words, I guess that's sort of the opposite of making a priority, making the workout the priority. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of those too. There's a lot of easy ways out. If you want to just go do some kind of go out to dinner with a bunch of people, I don't know. There's just it's the priorities can be the workout too. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of getting that balance and setting things up and going the right direction. And I think you're always good with that. And kind of making sure, because you're the first one to tell me to take a day off when I'm dying, when I'm just fatigued as hell, and you know what I've been doing. So
take a day.
Take a day, man.
Do yourself a favor, and do yourself a favor in 3 months. Take a day today.
And speaking of taking a day, I've actually taken about 3 weeks since Ironman Chattanooga 70.3, and I had texted you yesterday about this concept of in the back of my mind, and I'm thinking about starting to write about this and maybe doing an Ironman Louisville meter with 0 being no chance and 10 being in, and then every day posting my new
your new meter.
Yeah, my new on the scale, my new mindset. So, but I'm thinking about Louisville.
Well, you're not going to get any more tips from me on the podcast.
I know.
You're on your own.
I know.
Pay up. You know where to pay me.
I'll just start listening to the podcast and qualify for Worlds.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was kind of joking around about that. Like I went home. I've been home a couple times and put on a lot of extra pizza weight and things like that. So I feel like I'm kind of starting over. And you had posted the question in the group the other day, or was it yesterday? Yeah.
It was yesterday afternoon, and it got. I mean, we don't get a lot of. We get some pretty good threads, but that got a pretty massive response. A lot of people had some chiming in and opinions, and whether it's everybody's bored on a Sunday afternoon with no sports going on, who knows? But it was a great discussion.
Yeah, and it stemmed from what a female friend of yours had a question.
Yeah. And this is it's been a great thread, and I think that. It is so. Things are so relative. It's like, and I brought this up in the middle of the thread. It's like, well, tell me what's better. And yeah, should I say couch for this girl? No, but basically just like, oh, I think I'm going to just train for an Ironman in 16 weeks when I haven't, really focused at all on the bike or swim or really even run in just a long time. And I brought this question. I was like, well, tell me, is a 16-week totally focused Ironman training block better than a 24-week, maybe even 28-week, mildly interested, not that consistent? I feel like I've got so much time that I can take days off training plan. What's better? Or is there an answer? Or is it all based on attitude? And, is there actually a right or a wrong?
My gut tells me that if this person is has done some things in the past and is in relatively good shape, not completely off the rails, when I mean like 30, 40 pounds overweight or something like that, I think it's the focused version, personally.
Totally agree. 1,000%. I think with me personally, and some specific situations I've dealt with other athletes who have, and again, yes, am I an advocate of the taking your time to build up? Sure. But I'm also not going to tell somebody, nope, you've got to do it just the way I tell you to do it. I guess that's just not feasible. And I had and somebody commented on this thread like, well, I remember back in 2012, I had a guy come to me who was barely trained for like a 70.3, and he won an entry from TYR, the swim company that makes all like wetsuits and goggles and swimsuits and stuff. He won an entry into Ironman New York. The only event that they ever had there until it was canceled because it was a cluster. And he was like, can I do it in 7 weeks? So 7 weeks. So you're basically thinking only 6 weeks of training. And I said to him, well, sure, we can do it. But you're probably not going to like me because it's and the biggest thing with this was when you're coming down to something so short, and this honestly goes for all training, is like I basically gave him 3 days at a time. Let's tackle these 3 days and see how you do. Let's keep it short, so all you see are these 3 days, and then I can manage you. And we just have to manage your fitness, fatigue, and make sure you get there in as best fitness as we can, as fresh as we can, with no nagging injuries. And this guy, I want to say he's overweight, but I definitely wouldn't say he was lean. He's probably 220, probably 230, my height, 6 foot. So we did it. I used some not revolutionary training methods. I was pretty aggressive with certain things, and that's actually where I came to be a huge fan of the double bike. I either use myself as a kind of a science experiment or other people, and he actually ended up finishing a very difficult course. 15:52 was his time. Was it like some earth-shattering message, or earth-shattering, record? No, but going to New York, all-inclusive paid, hotel, race entry, experience, and still finishing an Ironman in 6 weeks. I mean, 7 weeks later, we got very lucky, but it was done, and it's doable. And I think short-term focus is one of those things that you just can't. You can't give it enough value, in my opinion, because a lot of people this time of year that have an Ironman in September, October, November are totally toast and burnt out. They're honestly almost disinterested. They're like, it's just gonna be what it'll be.
Yeah, I know.
That's so much BS.
It's like the turn of the year, get in shape thing.
You're exactly like, it's June. All right, people. If you're racing Ironman Chattanooga, Ironman Wisconsin, Ironman Arizona, Florida, anything overseas, wherever it is, Louisville, and if it's September, October, November, it's time to get your shit right. Because you've got at least 12 to 16 weeks. You can make massive improvements, massive fitness gains. Right now, what you need to think of it is, I use these first 6 months of the year to train so that I can train the way that I need to train to just crush it. And guess what? Now you're in June, about to be July. Now it's time to get to training. You've just been more than likely, you've just been like putting in the time, preparing your body to absorb a load that it needs to be able to handle to execute on race day. And if you've built yourself up that way, then guess what? All this other time has just been prep. It's just been prep work. Now it's time to get down to business. That's usually a conversation I have with my athletes, but it is time to get down to business. Get focused, get reinvigorated, get things detailed out, get your plan ready to rock and roll. Don't look 16 weeks from now or 20 weeks from now or 24 weeks from now. Look next week and think next week is the first week of however many I've got to make myself great and to reach this level that I need to, regardless of how many races you've done this year and whether they were good or whether they were bad. Because what happens is you race in May and June and July and you think, oh, well, I crushed this 70.3. I'm going to kill it in September. Don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah. No doubt, dude.
And the same goes for the poor race. Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket in May and July where it may or may not mean that much, and it really doesn't, depending on the course. It's like there's so many variables, and there's so much time. Take some time, take a week off, and just get ready to rumble. I mean, we talked about this before in a previous podcast. It's been a while, but the hardest week for you guys was after you guys raced earlier in the year, and I just gave you a week off with no structure. Because after that week, we got down to business. And it was kind of like, all right, spend the rest of your free time, do what you want to do, enjoy having no structure, but use that week to know that when I start back up, it's time to get down. And I think having those weeks are great because it gives you that, and we talk about this too, it's like it gives you that time to get mentally and emotionally free, like to shed some of that stress from early in the year and kind of refocus and not have to worry about this looming race that you've built up and you've posted pictures every day and everybody knows you're racing and the stress and the pressure's mounting and you're like, man, I have all these expectations to live up to and all these people are looking at me to perform well at this race in 3 months or 4 months. And then what happens is you have two different kind of athletes. One that has perspective and says, you know what, I got this. I'm going to focus in and I'm going to do my best and I'm going to see what happens. And the chances are you're probably going to crush it. Then you have B athlete who says, oh, well, man, I better go ahead and start, throwing in my what I like to call excuse drops along the way. You're leaving your excuse crumbs. Along the way down the Ironman path, I'm going to leave my excuse crumbs. I've got a nagging this, or I didn't race hard this, or I'm just burnt out, or life getting in the way. I'm like, come on, man, get it together. You got time. Let's go.
Yeah, dude. I mean, think about what I've done the last few years. I mean, we've talked about this. It's like I've been starting kind of late, and it pulled together real good because I got super focused. But the thing I was missing out was that the base and that back training. I didn't start early enough, but it can be done for sure. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I signed up for Louisville that one year until June maybe, and I didn't
sign up the year you and I did it.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up until I think like a week after. I don't think I signed up until July.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was like a real late decision. But like in this, what I keep thinking about right now is I did Ironman 70.3 Chattanooga, what was that, a month ago now? 3 months, whatever. And I haven't done basically anything since then, a few short runs or whatever. But I think I might actually be in a perfect position because I'm starting to get the, mojo back a little bit. I'm starting to feel pretty good. I feel like I'm rested. My hamstrings are just tight and sore for like 2 weeks. I couldn't even bend over to, put the leash on my dog, and it was ridiculous. But now I'm starting to feel good. So like almost feel like I've got that crap out of my system, and now I've got 16 weeks, 15 weeks.
16 from yesterday.
Yeah, to just start putting it in. I mean, that would be actually really well, for me, that would be a great start. So,
but dude, you've only, it's so funny, man. When you train pretty consistently, or you train fairly consistently, 3 weeks seems like 4 months.
It does.
It's like,
it feels like, I mean, that's why I texted you yesterday and I jokingly said, I feel like I'm going to be going from the couch to Ironman again. And, I mean, I just, it's like I can't even think about working out in some ways the last couple of weeks. It's like I don't even know if I could run a 5K, but of course you can, but it's just like...
God, I know, right? Yeah. Hey, man, and this was a perfect week to get rolling since the weather is cooperating.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, and that makes a huge difference. Like, it's not so oppressive when you get outside and you're like, you feel like actually working out, but then that turns a corner for me always when it's hot. That's when I really love it. But I got to be in a groove by then, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it really kind of feels like, yeah, this feels right. You know, getting out there and there's nothing better than being able to, you know, put in a nice long hard workout, you know, when it's getting hot. But
yeah,
it's hard to you know, just cross right into that. You know,
you know, hey, and I said this again in the thread. If you're not a part of our closed, our Crushing Iron closed group, it's you know, the conversation we're having in there is that, you know, the great thing about the oversaturation, if you call it, of Ironman right now, is that you don't have to pull the trigger today.
yeah,
you can do 8 weeks of focus, and then see what happens. You know, because, you know, a lot of the times it's, and I find this true with most everybody, including myself. It's just like, yeah, does the thought, can I physically nail it in 16 weeks? For sure. Now, will it be my best result ever? Probably not. But can I nail it and have a good race and have fun? Sure. Can I mentally and emotionally hold it together for these next 16 weeks to give myself that opportunity? And having like a good halfway point, like, all right, for 8 weeks, we're going to train like we're prepping for Ironman Louisville. And then at that 8 week point, if you can hold it up for 8 weeks, then after that, you take a recovery week. You got, all right, I got 6 to 7 weeks left of focus training. I can handle that, because then you're all in. Well, now it's time to sign up, and now it's time to hop on the pony and get running. And so you don't have to make a decision before, and that's what we often do, is we make a decisions with our hopes and dreams and fantasies before we actually test it out in reality. And now you've got whatever you want to take, 6 to 8 weeks, probably even 10 weeks, to test out your passion or your reinvigorated focus or drive or motivation, and test it in reality and see if it actually matches up with these visions of doing it in 16 weeks. And if it matches up, then hell yeah, let's roll. And if it doesn't match up, then that's okay. You've got some focus training in. You've done a good job. If you want to pull the trigger on a later season 70.3, go for it. If not, then you've set yourself up great to go into the off season in a much better trained, position than you have in the past. So it's all good things, and it's all learning experience too, for the future.
Yeah. Well, I always talk too about this. I put a race on the calendar, and for me, and because I'm a little bit older, man, as you know, and you know that, right?
How old are you again? I forget, man. Your attitude and your personality is so youthful with vigor that I sometimes forget.
Yeah, I know. It's easy to forget. But the thing of it is, when I go home and I visit and I hang around my old high school buddies and everything, I kind of get reminded that you can lose track of this shit real quick, and it can go the wrong direction, and it never gets easier to get back in. So that's another driver for me, whether it's right or wrong, but to have something on the calendar is like, it's just like a force feed, man. I almost have to have something out there to drive me, because man, your body and your attitude can go in a hurry, and I suppose that's probably why a lot of people in this sport are probably that way. They're thinking, man, I need a driver, and sometimes that becomes counterproductive or whatever, but in the long run, for me to keep in shape as I get older, keep strong, keep active, man, it's just, there's not much better for me than to have a race on the calendar. But I also have to, it's like you do a race, $750 to sign up, you got hotels, you got all that stuff. It's a financial thing for me right now a little bit, and so that's a huge pressure. I can't just throw $1,000 at that thing right now, and because that will distort everything. So what you're saying is exactly what I think I'm going to do, is for the next 4 or 6 weeks, just kind of train like I am going for Ironman Louisville, and make that decision then. And maybe it'll change then. Maybe I'll just be like, man, I just love riding my bike around.
Exactly.
That'd be interesting for once.
Hey, Yeah, exactly, right? Or you're like, hey, maybe I'll just take another few weeks and just go down to Ironman Florida and have a flat race and maybe even get my first ocean swim 2.4 in.
Yeah, that could happen too.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Sky's the limit. Endless possibilities.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Crushing or C26 Triathlon camp is going to be pumping me up too. So.
Oh, dude, I'm so pumped for that thing. So pumped.
July 13th
is the first day.
Yeah, if you still want to come, it's open, right? A couple slots.
Yeah, it's open. Yeah, and I'll be launching. We'll be announcing next year's dates, and yeah, it's gonna be a great time. I'm so pumped. I'm about to send out later today or early tomorrow. I'm gonna send out a camp athlete guide with addresses and additional details of where to go, where to meet, and how to get there. And
I like it. When's the bib list come out?
Bib list 1 through, I don't know, I gotta see who's got ACC status, all camp or whatever. ACA status, all camp athlete status, and I'll have to make some I might order some tri-tats and tat people's calf for the week 1 through 16 so we can keep track, especially at the beach and on the trace and stuff. So
priority bike position and transition.
Yeah, man, all kinds of fun stuff. So
yeah.
Well.
So now what are we gonna do?
I don't know. I mean, I know what I'm gonna do. I got a little more work to do, and then I gotta go get something.
Man, those swim analysis videos are cool.
Oh man, I've had really, great feedback. I had an awesome, I think 7 people get back to me for beta testers, and man, it's awesome. And I've got pretty in depth with it. And again, I launched the details of the full package on the Facebook group. I'll probably just go ahead and upload it to the closed group on the files so it can be accessed, or if you want additional information you can email me at c26coach@gmail.com. But yeah, dude, it is transformative, and it can really change not just your swim stroke, but cycling mechanics and bike fit, and then run form and run mechanics. It's all things that are, there's so much room for improvement. And the best thing is when you choose to do these like multiple sessions, is that the second time you do your session, I still have your save video from the first time. So I just throw up a split screen and you can see your previous form versus your current form. And then you should already know that it's different based on your times in the pool. But it'll show you the improvement and then how much more we need to go. And then, a lot of them I'm able to send specific workouts to address whatever your specific mechanical flaw is. Yeah, it's great. It's a great tool. And I'm pretty deep, but I'm still scratching the surface on how much good we can do with this, and in terms of reaching people and fixing, especially the swim, because it's like learning a different language, and being able to be kind of, it's better than having your hands on deck with a coach. It's underwater, multiple views, feedback, and yeah, dude, it's awesome. I'm loving it.
Yeah, basically it's really simple too. I mean, people just need to shoot some video themselves, right, and they send it to you, and then you can break it down.
You can use a GoPro, a Verb, any waterproof camera. I've even had somebody use just like a waterproof, like life-proof case and their iPhone, and shoot video. And then basically you can either email it to me, you can send it via Dropbox, you can even text it to me, and I'll download it to my iPad, look it over, analyze it, and then I can literally text you a link with it broken down, slow-mo, voiceover, things to improve on that you can actually. That's the coolest thing about it, is you can read it over your phone. And if you're a lot of people, you take your phone to the pool to look at workout stuff, you can actually look at the corrections, hear it, and then go apply it like immediately. So it's endless possibilities, and really, really looking forward to helping people out. And speaking of helping people out,
Where can people get information on that, by the way?
You can get in our closed Crushing Iron group because I have it in there, or you can just shoot me an email at c26coach@gmail.com. And I've got a really nice PDF with links and pictures and video and descriptions and all kinds of fun stuff you can look at. And then if you are going to be or live anywhere close to Columbia, Missouri, towards the end of July, I'm going to be over there doing a open water swim clinic for the Columbia Multisport Club, which I'm super stoked about. And they are allowing non-members to come, so I have some athletes that live in the nearby area that are going to come in. But if you are a listener and you want to come take part in that, I'll have additional details of what a kind of a non-member pricing will be and more information. But if you're anywhere close and want to come in for the day and participate in one of my open water swim clinics, I would love to have you. And then most importantly, it's always awesome to meet listeners face to face.
Absolutely.
Put a face with the ear.
Yeah.
Put a face with the ear.
Put a face with the ear.
Yep.
Okay, man.
Well,
I guess we'll address that question next time. The big question.
I think we should.
Sorry for the double tease. But we kind of talked about it last time, but we never got to it, you know?
We're stringing along. Because you know what? We're still going to be back better than ever on Thursday.
Yeah, and a lot of people really like the bonus cast on Friday.
Yeah, that got a lot of great discussion going on.
Yeah.
I only got like 3 letters with anthrax in them and a few graffitis on my car. Other than that, not much.
It was a little feisty.
Hey,
I'm still pissed about it, man. I just, I was driving home thinking about it a little bit. Not much, but...
Let it go, man.
I've let it go. But, I mean, every once in a while I just drift to how awesome that felt, floating out to that ski ramp and looking around. 3,000 people, my best friends for the day. And now, it's like we don't even know each other anymore.
Strangers in a crowded room.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. This is the C26 Triathlon Podcast. And join our closed Facebook group. Search Crushing Iron Group on Facebook, and you'll get there.
That's right.
We may have to cap that thing.
We're getting up there. Nah. Come
on in, everyone.
Come on.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Have a great day, and I will talk to you.
Sounds good, dude. See you.